In order to start modeling surfaces, we first need to have a look into extrude curves. So this is the quickest way how to make 3D surfaces in Rhino. So let's go to Rhino and let's do a brick. If we go to standard, and then we can create a rectangle from 0, 0, 0. And now we can just give specific dimensions like 10 and 15. So we can extrude our curve from a surface, extrude curve straight. So now we need to select the curves and press enter. Command line offers you different possibilities like changing the direction or extruding from both sides or creating a solid. So let's say that we want to create a solid with the height of 5. So press enter, and now we have a volume completely closed. So we can just go to our properties and see that is a closed extrusion. But the difference between closing or not closing the extrusion, it's if we repeat the command extrude curve. So here you can select solid no, and we give our height to 5, and you see that the bottom and the top, they are open. There are different ways how to close surfaces. One of them is in Surface tab. You can select planar curve. So here you can select the curve itself, and it will create it straight ahead. Or you can also select the edge of the surface. Rhino will also identify this as a curve, and it will allow you to always, when it's planar, to execute the command. Right now, this volume, if we select in our object properties, it says that we have different types of geometries because our geometries are separate. But if you wanna make them solid, you need to just type command join, and your geometry will be composed by a closed solid polysurface. Let's continue with one of the most important commands in Rhino by modeling surfaces, and this is Loft. So let's have a look into open curves. So here we have 4 curves and we want to loft them. So let's type command loft and select our curves. So here you can see that we have a surface with many isocurves. This is actually not what we want, because if we check our lines, we can turn on the control points. There is one curve that has a lot of control points. So this is not good, because it will increase the complexity by generating the surface. What we can do is just delete this curve, and we can always copy a curve that we know it works. We can also change this a little bit to have a bit of a difference, and now we can type again loft and select the curves, and now we see that our surface is much more cleaner. So let's continue with the closed curves. Now we want to loft through these 4 different ready-made curves. um, just need to type command loft and select in the sequence that you want to loft your surface, and pay attention to this in-between step. So because this is actually pretty important for the success of your surface, so you need to make sure that all these little arrows are pointing in the same direction. If they are not pointing in the same direction, you can go to the command line and then flip them. So now that everything looks in order, we can press enter, and we see that our surface was generated. This little window that pops up is the loft options, and here we can just go through and see which other options for lofting Rhino offers us. So for example, this slightly loose surface generation, or more tight, that it takes our input curves as a very precise reference. Let's explore how sweep command works. Sweep command has two different possibilities. So the first is one rail sweep, and the second is two rail sweep. You can find them under surface, sweep one rail, and sweep two rails. So let's have a look with sweep one rail. So it asks us to select on rail, and there's no need to press enter. And now it's asking for a cross section curve. This is our two vertical lines. So once you are done with it, we can just press enter and the surface will be generated. So you can see that the surface is pretty clean, and it perfectly matches with our rail boundaries. Let's delete this, and let's see another possibility with sweep one rail. So let's hide these two lines. So there is no need to have a cross section touching the rail. For this, we are gonna just run again sweep one rail, and the same procedure. We first select the rail and the second. So as you can see, we can generate geometries without being in touch to each other. Let's go ahead and try sweep two rails. So let's turn off the previous layer and check under surface, sweep two rails. And now select first rail, second rail. It's no need for press enter, and select cross section curves. Those are the two lines on the edge. Press OK. Here we are able to generate a pretty clean surface within our boundaries.